I transmigrated into the role of a mature, alluring female supporting character in a redemption novel. The system tasked me with redeeming a paranoid, cold-blooded young man. I did everything I could to save him from the hands of thugs, losing a layer of skin and one of my eyes in the process. For 10 years, I helped Caleb navigate one turning point after another, watching him successfully study, work, start a business, achieve success and fame, and finally marry me. I flaunted the pigeon egg diamond on my finger and mocked the system. Who says female supporting characters don't deserve love? In the 10 years of our marriage, Caleb proved his sincerity to me with his actions. He handed over his salary card, lit sky lanterns for me, and even cut off one of his kidneys to save me when I was seriously ill. Everyone said he loved me to the bone. Until the true female lead of the redemption novel appeared. As I considered leaving, I suddenly spat out several mouthfuls of blood. The punishment came so quickly. At the moment I successfully completed the redemption, I rejected the system's decision to let me extract myself. Looking at the man kneeling on one knee, I happily reached out my hand. A pigeon egg diamond ring circled my finger. Shining brightly, I looked triumphantly toward the sky, inwardly mocking the system's rigidness. See, true love conquers all. The system said nothing, only sighed. I began my 10-year married life in this sigh. After our marriage, everyone said he loved me madly, but only I knew that I loved him more than he loved me. I originally had the opportunity to break away from the system and return to the real world. But I personally cut off my own path back. I originally thought I could grow old with him. Until that day, when I overheard him chatting with a friend in the study. You mean Alara? She's a good wife, but she's too boring now, becoming more and more like a wooden doll. Caleb's words made my heart sink. Everyone laughed, and one person chimed in. Well, Alara is 5 years older than Caleb after all. Alara is getting old, but Caleb is still young. Haven't you considered finding a younger one? After all, someone like you, a tech mogul, who wouldn't be tempted? Among our circle, Caleb lives like a monk. I listened more closely. Caleb's silence made my heart plummet. He was silent for a moment before replying. Alara is my benefactor. Don't say things like that. It will hurt her feelings. He said it solemnly. Every word was beyond doubt. So I was just his benefactor? I wanted to laugh a little, but I couldn't manage to pull up the corners of my mouth. The moment I turned around, he said another sentence. But I've really had enough of this kind of marriage. The teapot in my hand tilted, and boiling water poured onto my hand. It belatedly occurred to me that, recently, he had been going on more and more business trips, coming home later and later, and communicating less and less with me, all because he had had enough. My heart felt a strange stinging pain, mixed with the burning pain on my hand. I couldn't help but squat down, desperately forcing back the tears that were about to burst out of my eyes. Staggering, I walked downstairs. Since I'd had enough, then I'd stop having enough. I still remember when I first married Caleb. I asked him a question that had bothered me for a long time. They say there's an unwritten rule in high society that wives must tolerate their husbands having affairs. Would you do that? I was 25 years old. Although I had lost one eye, I was still stunning with a prosthetic eye, and my smile was radiant. The man's features were deep and chiseled, and his eyes were full of tenderness when he looked at me. He rested his chin in my palm, innocent and reverent, as if treating his own God. That day will never come. I will always be loyal to you. I believed him without a doubt. And he kept his word. For 10 years, if I wanted a star, he wouldn't give me the moon. He gifted me island after island, and all the foreign castles were under my name. I casually mentioned I didn't want children, and he strictly took contraceptive measures for 10 years. People in the circle joked that he treated me like an ancestor. He never cared. I thought I had escaped the fate of a supporting female character. Until Ivy, the real female lead, appeared. I was hospitalized for 3 days due to burns, and Caleb only came over then. I'm sorry, I had to leave on a business trip urgently, and I've only just returned. The man placed a kiss on my forehead. I scrutinized the young girl who came with him. I had seen her in the information given to me by the assistant, a poor student from the mountains that Caleb had been sponsoring. She greeted me with a sweet smile, her eyes dazzlingly bright. Hello, Sister Alara, I'm Ivy. Mister. Caleb asked me to take care of you. At this moment, I was lying in a hospital bed, completely different from the pure and energetic girl in front of me. I stared at her again and again. Miss Ivy, how old are you? 25. Ivy replied crisply. I was stunned. 25, the age I married Caleb. The girl looked directly at me with her big eyes, her fearless and dauntless expression bearing quite a resemblance to me. I transmigrated into the novel at 15 and met Caleb when he was 10. The first time we met, he was beaten until his head was bleeding. I quickly went up to protect the people on the other side. In the struggle, one of my eyes was pierced. Blood covered my face. In the original story, during this fight, one of those people had his ear bitten off by Caleb, and another had his leg broken by Caleb with an iron rod. This was the first turning point that led Caleb's life astray. I stopped Caleb and shouted hoarsely at those people, "Run!" Caleb was holding the iron rod, his aura terrifying. I hugged his waist tightly, and he couldn't shake me off. He bit my arm, leaving a bloody mess. After a particularly intimate moment, Caleb suddenly asked me, "Why did you protect those people back then?" I chuckled. "Was it for them?" "It was for you." The man buried his head in the hollow of my neck, his voice muffled. "Why are you so good to me? Why do you stay with me and never leave?" I touched his hair, teasing him. "Do you believe in gods? Do you believe I came for you?" Caleb shook his head. I smiled, but then I heard the man's voice again, soft but firm. "If you are a god, I'm willing to believe." I kissed the man's lips, kissing away the tears in the corner of his eyes, thinking of his original trajectory. I hugged him tighter. According to the original novel's setting, Caleb became a delinquent at the age of 10. Spending his days in casinos and bars, shuttling between juvenile detention centers, and that shattered home. His biological mother ran away when he was 2 years old, and the woman his biological father brought back treated him with extreme harshness, forcing him to drop out of school, leaving him with no food, no place to sleep, and hanging out with thugs all day. Those thugs took advantage of his reckless nature and encouraged him to commit all kinds of evils. In order to survive, he gambled, drank, and robbed without fail. Finally, on the day he turned 18, he took a knife and slashed his father, disemboweling the fetus in his stepmother's womb. I woke up from the dream with a scream and touched the space beside me, cold and empty. I opened my phone to check the time, 2 o'clock in the morning. No messages on WeChat, no text messages on my phone either. Caleb was out all night again. I got up, took the clothes from the bedside, and left the house. The Meng Corporation started with aerial photography drones, and in just 10 years it has become the industry leader. Even at midnight, the building was still brightly lit. I walked all the way unimpeded, but suddenly felt apprehensive as I stepped out of the elevator on the 55th floor. I stopped and didn't dare to go forward. In front of me was the CEO's office, with a crack in the door, from which faint sounds came. "Why hasn't Mr. Caleb gone home yet? There aren't that many documents to review today. Home is too quiet, so quiet it's maddening." The girl's voice was clear, like a playful oriole. "Then Mr. Caleb can just listen to me here. I have so many interesting stories." The girl chattered incessantly, and Caleb listened patiently, occasionally interjecting a few words, occasionally laughing out loud. It was the hearty laughter I hadn't heard in a long time. He said meaningfully, "Being with you always makes me feel like I've returned to the past. You're different from everyone else I've ever met." He thought carefully, and finally found the words to describe this feeling. "You give me a sense of destiny." The girl stared at him with wide eyes. The two were very close, close enough to hear each other breathe. Through the crack in the door, I saw the girl's blushing ears and trembled all over. Was he encouraging Ivy? After mocking myself, I couldn't help but think, perhaps this is the charm of the true female lead, able to gain the male lead's favor effortlessly. Thinking back to my past with Caleb, I accompanied him from the age of 15 to 35. Only to end up blind in one eye and infertile for life. Suddenly it all felt like a joke. I held my breath and pushed the door open, and the girl Wanglanda chung Caleb sun shalai. Because it was too dark, her high heels twisted, and she fell to the ground. Caleb suppressed the fire in his eyes. Faced with the choice between me and helping Ivy up, He chose the latter. I turned on the lights, sat on the sofa, and watched Caleb settle Ivy in his office chair. "Why are you here so late? Shouldn't you be asleep?" His tone was calm, as if he was talking about the night's darkness. "You didn't call home. I was worried, so I came to see." Caleb pinched his brow, suddenly realizing. "I was too busy, I forgot." I stared unblinkingly at Ivy and continued. "Too busy flirting with your secretary and forgot? I don't like her, Caleb. What are you going to do?" Caleb glanced at Ivy and said with difficulty, "Her parents and family are all gone. Her relatives only want to use her for money. She has no one to rely on. Letting her work at the company is just helping her out on the way." I clenched my fist, my fingernails digging deep into my palm. What if I insist she leaves? Before Caleb could speak, Ivy limped to me. "It's my fault for causing misunderstandings for Sister Alara. I'll submit my resignation right away." Her little face was still shaken, but she had a stubborn look. I couldn't help but curl my lips. This lonely, tenacious character was truly a novel's female lead through and through. I pulled out a card from my wallet, estimating there was around 2 million in it. I handed it to Ivy, but Caleb snatched it away. "Alara, you're going too far." Only after watching Ivy run out crying, covering her face, did I turn to meet Caleb's angry eyes. "Who's going too far, me or you? Nothing happened between us. We're completely innocent. Alara, you've changed. You've become selfish, narrow-minded, and even use money to humiliate people." I stood there stunned, watching Caleb's disappointed gaze slowly fade away. He chased after her, but I couldn't even bring myself to tell him to stop. The previous me wasn't like this. On the third day of locking myself in my room, Caleb came to me to reconcile. He knelt outside the door for a whole night. When he realized I was determined not to open the door, he started climbing the window. Sensing his intention, I locked the window. Unexpectedly, Caleb smashed the window with his bare hands. He climbed in, his hands bloody. He walked to my bed and kissed me fiercely. I always knew Caleb was a man who wouldn't stop until he got what he wanted, but at that moment I still succumbed. 10 years of marriage had already eroded our passion, but that night he was clumsy like a rascal. My nerves were being pulled taut. One voice said to forgive him, seeing that the male lead was willing to risk his life for you. Another voice said that you can't win against the true female lead, so give up while you can. My mind was a blur, and I scratched red marks all over the man's back. In the chaos, I heard someone calling a name. I struggled to open my eyes, and the man next to me murmured, "Ivy. Ivy." My mind exploded, and all the other voices disappeared. At that moment, I knew my marriage was over. I suddenly sat up and pushed him away. "Let's get a divorce," I said. The man muffled himself into the pillow and didn't say anything. After a long while he got out of bed, put on his pajamas. He didn't refuse, but his voice sounded a little hoarse. "I'll have the lawyer draft the agreement tomorrow." Tears welled up, and my voice became sharper. "How so eager? I'm delaying you." Caleb sighed. "Alara, you're good, really good. It's just that I want to try a new life. We've been tied together for 20 years. I'm tired of it." I was speechless. I had saved him for 10 years, married him for 10 years, 20 years of entanglement, and to him, it was actually a burden. I finally realized that I had tied him down with my love. I pretended to be relaxed and wiped away the tears from the corners of my eyes. "If there's no love, let's talk money. Remember to give me a little more." Caleb's footsteps sounded. "It's all yours, I'm leaving with nothing." Caleb had a professional team of lawyers, and all the agreements were finalized as quickly as possible. In the huge villa, I stared at the agreement on the table, and couldn't help but laugh until tears streamed down my face. A message came from Caleb's assistant, showing Caleb accompanying Ivy into the best private maternity hospital in the city. "Madam, Ms. Ivy is pregnant." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Which woman doesn't really like children? It's just that I fought for him in the business world, and I had already ruined my body at the dinner table. I can't conceive in this lifetime. The reason I said I didn't like children was just to deceive him, to put his mind at ease. Clearly he said that he only needed me. So for so many years, he was just pretending in front of me. He pretended to love me to the bone. In reality, it was only because I pulled him out of the quagmire he was in before accompanied him without abandoning him, sent him his first startup capital, and charged into battle for him. I gritted my teeth and trembled. I lost an eye because of him, and he gave me back a kidney. It turned out he had long been prepared to settle our accounts. How ridiculous that the first thing I did every morning was to think about what to make for him that day. Changing methods to change his tastes. In the end, the only person who was moved was myself. I cried and laughed like a madwoman. Even if it hurt more, I still picked up the pen and signed the divorce agreement. Decisive and resolute. Since he doesn't love me anymore. I don't want a person like that either. But I didn't expect the punishment to come so quickly. Caleb was a little surprised to learn that I had signed the divorce agreement so quickly. He asked the assistant, "Madam didn't hesitate at all?" The assistant nodded. This didn't sit right with Caleb. Someone who loved him so much. How could she sign so decisively? He even suspected that this was Alara's tactical retreat. That night, he took the agreement back to the Meng family, only to hear the servant say that Madam had gone to the bar. He flared up, drove to the bar, and as soon as he entered, he saw that I had booked the whole place. Rows of male models stood in front of me, each with a face no less handsome than his, and I was about to put my arm around one of them. "Alara, what are you doing?" I turned my head, and my delicate face fell into his eyes just like that. I could even see a moment of amazement flashing in his eyes. I was born beautiful, and after marriage, my heart was completely focused on Caleb, and I always treated myself casually. Now that I'm divorced, why should I adhere to those womanly virtues? So I dressed up well to have fun at the bar. As soon as I entered here, I had a trance-like feeling. Since getting married, I haven't let myself go to a place like this. This is the first time in over 10 years. I stared at Caleb with a half-smile. "Mr. Caleb, in what capacity are you here to manage me?" Caleb was choked. "Why aren't you accompanying your true heroine and coming to me?" Caleb reached out to grab me, but a male model blocked him. Already a bit irritated, Caleb threw a punch without hesitation. The male model didn't dare retaliate and took the blow head-on, immediately drawing blood. I instantly flared up, stepping in front of the male model. "Caleb, are you sick? Don't protect him." He gritted his teeth. Did he think I was still the Alara who obeyed his every whim? I turned and helped the male model up, walking towards the exit step by step. Just before leaving, I glanced back. "Caleb, don't forget, we're already divorced." Behind me, I saw Caleb's hand clenched into a fist. I let the male model stay at my Golden Lake apartment. Caleb's punch was forceful, half of his face was red and swollen. "You're stupid too. Why did you rush in front?" Seeing that it was difficult for him to apply the medicine himself, I carefully helped him spread it. The male model's face flushed red. "You don't want to. I can feel you don't want to." My hand paused. "What's your name?" "Julian." Later I found out that Julian was only 20 years old, 15 years younger than me. A good age. Young and strong. A good age I could only dream of. And so I kept Julian around. Julian was also very considerate, quickly remembering my preferences, bringing me a cup of tea with the perfect temperature the moment I walked through the door. I leaned back on the sofa, legs crossed. "So good at it, looks like you've served a lot of people." Julian's face flushed redder and redder, he explained softly. That day was when he had just gone to the bar to apply for a waiter position, and the manager had pulled him in temporarily. I was being frivolous. To make amends to him, I agreed to attend his graduate commencement. I chose a suitable dress. Just as I slipped it on, Caleb called. "Alara, do you still have the A5 chip data?" Yes. After all, I was also a hidden shareholder of Meng's. I wouldn't refuse anything related to the company. "I'll come get it now. Come to Jingdai University. I have something to do there." "Something at your alma mater?" Caleb asked, puzzled. I smiled. "Julian is graduating with his master's. I'm just going to join in the fun." "Alara." Without waiting for him to finish, I hung up the phone. Seeing me holding flowers walking towards Julian, his youthful face flushed red again. Happy graduation. The people around us cheered. "Julian, you're so lucky to have such a beautiful woman giving you flowers." At Julian's request, I took pictures with him, and then we went to eat at a roadside stall. This time Julian paid. When Caleb arrived, he saw me eating with gusto. His eyes were full of suppressed anger. He walked up to me, looked at Julian, and then stared at me. Alara, are you serious? I slowly swallowed the piece of meat, looked up at Caleb. It had only been 2 months, but he seemed a lot more haggard. Looks like the real female lead didn't take good care of him. Heaven knows how difficult he is to please. He needs a specific water temperature to drink, has an endless list of food he can't eat, and even has a cleanliness fetish. The most outrageous thing is that his clothes must be hand-washed. If they're machine-washed, he'll get a rash all over his body. He's just so much trouble. Looking at it that way, he and the real female lead are indeed a good match. Coming back to my senses, I raise an eyebrow. Whether I take it seriously or not is none of your business, right? Caleb looks as if he's been stabbed. Do you have to provoke me like this? I curve my lips. My curly hair sways gently in the night breeze, and for a moment, Caleb seems to have returned to the past. That year, he had just entered university. At the school track meet, he was running in front, and I was chasing after him on the side. A head of curly hair fell behind me, jumping and fluttering, vibrant and beautiful. Break up with him. I stand up, taking Julian's hand. I can't break up. We're about to go on our graduation trip. Julian follows me step by step as I pull him. Caleb watches my retreating figure and shouts loudly. Fine, that's just great. Alara, I'm a fool for coming to find you. Useless tears seem about to flow again. I quickly raise my head and see Julian staring at my reddened eyes. Julian's graduation trip was entirely planned by me. I took him mountain climbing, bungee jumping, skydiving, scuba diving. We did every kind of extreme sport, whether we should have or not. Coming out of the water, Julian pants. I didn't expect Alara to be so fond of thrills. I'm stunned. I don't like thrills. I prefer a calm and peaceful life. These extreme sports are all things Caleb likes. During those 10 years of redemption, I almost died at his hands several times. When he became fierce, he would grab my neck and slam me against the wall. He threw me out several times, breaking my hands again and again. I came to the conclusion that Caleb's personality is like a leopard, fierce and ruthless. I gradually used gentle tactics to turn this leopard into a cat. I thought I could live a peaceful life with him. But I overlooked the fact that he's a male lead in a tragic love story. How could he possibly become a nobody? I sigh, walking on the beach, and run into Caleb and Ivy by his side. Seeing the real female lead again, I suddenly think of the sigh the system gave me when Caleb and I got married. Perhaps it had foreseen my ending long ago. Seeing Caleb's gaze towards me, Ivy reaches out and takes the man's sleeve. Alara is here too. What a coincidence. Are you here to scuba dive as well? I nod. Yes, are you here too? Caleb's expression changes slightly. He couldn't stop Ivy. Ivy tells me with a happy face, we're here to take wedding photos. I say oh meaningfully. Of course Caleb knows what my oh means. I was married to him for 10 years. There was only a proposal, no wedding. The wedding I waited 10 years for is finally going to happen. But the bride isn't me. I thought I would at least be sad for a moment, but I'm not only not sad, I'm actually much lighter. I put on a smile. Is that so? Congratulations. I'll send the gift money on time. Having said that, I walked forward without hesitation. Caleb stopped as he passed me. He said, I'm sorry. I forgive you, I said without hesitation. But let's not see each other again in the future. His heart constricted. 10 years of marriage. We know each other better than ourselves. He knew what I meant. I forgave him. I forgave him for deliberately calling the wrong name that night, making me retreat in the face of difficulties. I forgave that I was just the female supporting character in this book, destined to make wedding clothes for the male and female leads. I forgave him for not loving me. I heard their wedding was grand. Even the flowers on site were airshipped from Italy that day. Everyone who was anyone in Jing City attended. Caleb stood at one end of the corridor, looking at the bride in her wedding dress, but he couldn't muster any interest. Clearly, the person in front of him was his destined one. He forced himself to look up. Ivy looked unbelievably beautiful today, but the more he looked, the more she resembled someone else. The man clenched the ring in his hand. A voice in his head instinctively guided him. The person he was looking for was Ivy. He took a deep breath, mechanically plastered on a smile, and prepared to greet his bride. Ivy was an orphan, so she had to walk down this corridor alone, step by step, towards Caleb. Be careful. A girl rushed towards him, desperately trying to grab his hand. But she missed and he was pushed into the water. Immense fear overwhelmed him. The girl jumped in without a second thought. In the rushing water, she struggled to get close to him, grabbed him, and pulled him ashore little by little, almost being swept away herself. As if sealed memories were opened, Caleb's mind was in chaos. He massaged his temples. The bride in front of him took another step towards him. Don't be afraid, I'll save you. It was still that girl. In the heavy snow, she carried a boy who was taller than her step by step towards the hospital. You're still the male lead. You won't die so easily. The girl chattered on, sweat dripping down. The boy on her back was covered in injuries. Whether it was from pain or something else, tears spilled out, soaking the girl's back. She begged the doctors to treat the boy, even kneeling before them. Caleb couldn't help but frown. Stand up. Stand up. But he walked straight through the girl's body. He instantly understood that he was in a memory, but this memory felt so familiar. Another footstep sounded. He woke up from the memory, his head throbbing with pain. The man pressed his hands against his head. As the footsteps landed, he saw a different scene. All of you shut up. Do you think I don't know what kind of person he is? Do you have any evidence? Just slandering him like this without rhyme or reason. Just as the boy was violently gripping the table leg, the girl stepped forward. She had grown a little, her features becoming more defined. She put her hands on her hips, protecting the boy who had grown into a man behind her. The boy watched the girl chatter endlessly, feeling the first stirrings of wanting to crush her into his body. The memories came flooding back. He saw the girl by his side day after day. Several times, he was such a bastard that he almost killed her. Seeing the girl curled up on the ground, his heart ached so much he could barely stand. So there were so many memories between him and her. These memories were like being locked in a box. For 10 years, he hadn't recalled them even once. Caleb lowered his hands from his temples. The face in his memory gradually overlapped with the face he had spent 10 years with. He heard the voice in his heart screaming. Every sentence calling out Alara. The MC's voice pulled Caleb back to reality. Mr. Caleb, do you take Miss Ivy to be your lawfully wedded wife? From this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, and to be faithful to her alone, to protect her and treasure her, do you so swear? Caleb was stunned, watching Ivy's smile gradually freeze. The MC asked again. This time Caleb spoke, laboriously uttering those 3 words. I do not. Caleb ran away from the wedding, tearing off his wedding attire while asking his assistant, where is Alara? Mr. Caleb, Madam is about to go abroad. She's already at the airport. I was dragging my suitcase saying goodbye to Julian. One of Julian's inventions was recognized by the Australian Academy of Sciences, inviting Julian to work at the Research Institute there. This was fantastic news. So I privately replied to the institute, agreeing to accept the position. When Julian found out, it was the first time he looked upset in front of me. I awkwardly moved closer to him. Isn't your dream to do research? The purest research. Now that there's an opportunity, why give it up? If it's because of money, there's no need. I smiled slyly, leaning close to his ear. To be honest, I earned 30 billion from the divorce. At the airport, I handed him a card. Consider this as payment for accompanying me during this time. Julian grasped my outstretched hand, his eyes dark. Want to come with me? Leave here and go to a completely new place. I smiled faintly and shook my head at him. Julian, I'm not your female lead. You should go and enjoy your life, follow the trajectory, step by step, so you won't get hurt. As soon as the words fell, a circle of people in suits surged towards us. I heard someone address Julian as young Mr. Julian. Only then did I learn that the Chun family was the head of the Australian Chinese Chamber of Commerce, and Julian had secretly run away alone to Jing City because he didn't want to be confined by his family. He pushed aside several bodyguards and walked up to me, his expression solemn and affectionate. I hate following the routine. Just once, can you come with me? I pondered for a long time, suppressing the sweetness of blood in my throat. Finally, I still refused him. Focus on your research, you're young, your future is limitless. In the past 6 months, it's not that I haven't had any improper thoughts, but when I thought about how he was only 20 years old, I couldn't bring myself to do it. Julian was a little disappointed. He looked back every few steps. I waved to him until he disappeared from my sight. I finally couldn't suppress the bloody taste, and spat out a mouthful of blood. The snow-white floor, the bright red blood. Particularly conspicuous. I wiped my mouth, gasping for breath. This damn system is ruthless. In order to redeem Caleb, I spared no detail for the past 20 years. Not only did I waste a lot of time, but I also put myself in it. Now that Caleb has met his true female lead, he abandons her. She was the one who was hurt the most. Why should she be punished? My mind was blurred. The world was spinning. I suddenly remembered when I first transmigrated here, the system told me. The essence of redemption stories is that no matter how the object of redemption acts up, how they hurt the Redeemer must never abandon them. Now that I chose to give up, it's equivalent to a redemption failure. The moment I signed the divorce papers, the punishment was already being generated rapidly. I smiled wryly, so this time it's blood cancer, huh? Whatever, I'm not doing this damn redemption anymore. A mouthful of blood suddenly rushed to my heart. My whole body felt like it was being electrocuted. I couldn't catch my breath. I spat out a large mouthful of blood, the blood spreading, like a gorgeous pool. I blinked laboriously once, then again. The whole world seemed to be in slow motion, and in a daze I saw Caleb. The person who should have been at the wedding appeared before my eyes. I was hallucinating. Well, at least the last person I saw was the person I wanted to see. My body went limp, and I fell forward into a warm and familiar embrace. Caleb, what should I do? I'm not your real female lead. Elara. Elara, wake up. Elara, wake up. A heart-wrenching cry echoed through the airport, and the usually calm and collected Mr. Caleb panicked for the first time. He held my body, not letting anyone near. He had a feeling he was about to lose me forever. This realization made him breathe rapidly and bend over in pain, as if just having this thought. His fingertips went numb. He kept remembering his past with me. The first time I saved him, the first time I yelled at him, the first time I ran towards him, the first time I fell in love with him. The words real female lead kept repeating in his ears. His head was about to explode. Why did she react so strongly when she saw Ivy? Why did she mention the real female lead again and again? Why was she so resolute? Why? Why on earth? Wait. The real female lead corresponds to the male lead, so all of this is fake? This realization flashed through Caleb's mind, and everything around him seemed to be outlined with a water pen. The system was scared to death. It never expected that the intelligence given to Caleb would awaken his self-awareness. Caleb's eyes were bloodshot, but his lips were twisted into a smile, a bizarre harmony. He took off his tie, wrapped it around his neck, tighter and tighter. His hands gradually exerted force, and his face flushed red. His eyes began to blur, but the force in his hands did not loosen at all. He was about to fall down, when a shadow appeared in front of him, and the tie in his hand instantly broke. Caleb hung his head and breathed deeply, but the smile on his lips deepened. He knew he had forced the system out. He was the male protagonist of this book. If he died, would the system still have any reason to exist? As expected, he raised his head and directly grabbed the shadow's neck. How can you bring her back to life? The system squeaked in panic. She has no will to live at all. The redemption rules told her from the beginning, but she still decided to give up on redeeming you. She won't come back to life, neither in this world, nor in the real world. She's dead. She would rather die than give up on redeeming him. This realization made Caleb's heart clench in pain. He had been confined by the redemption novel's setting before. But the moment he fell in love with Elara, all those beautiful memories were locked away. So during those 10 years of marriage, no matter how good he was to Elara, it always felt boring. Her being around him was boring. Her losing herself was boring. Her acting like a shrew, monopolizing him, was boring. Everything made him feel that he had had enough of that life. So when he was chatting with friends in the study, he spoke his mind. But he didn't expect Alara to be standing outside the door, listening as he devalued their 10 years to nothing, word by word. He gasped for breath, the pain almost making him unable to stand. He had never been more furious than at this moment, all because of this redemption novel setting, which made him think Ivy was his true love. The vibrant aura of the girl made him feel that life was interesting again. He thought his true love had finally arrived, though a little late. He used some petty schemes to force Alara to take the initiative to say divorce. His joy vanished after hearing Alara decisively sign the divorce agreement. He didn't understand why he clearly loved Ivy, yet always involuntarily wanted to get close to Alara. He wanted to get close to the female lead. It was his body's most honest reaction. Memories flashed by one, his love growing stronger and stronger, finally forcibly breaking through the chasm between the male lead and the female supporting character. Caleb looked up at the system being strangled to the point of smoking, his ferocity fully revealed. It's all you're doing. The one who deserves to die isn't Alara, it's you. Caleb gradually tightened his palm, ignoring the system's wails, and finally, crushed the system. In order to support this world, waiting for Alara to return, Caleb voluntarily became the new system. He searched for Alara in the myriad worlds, but hundreds of years passed in a flash, and he hadn't even seen Alara's shadow. Loneliness eroded him, and he went crazy wanting to destroy this world. Wait a little longer. He finally waited for that person, relying on his memories with Alara. In the mortal world, he saw a girl who looked exactly like Alara. Her brows and eyes were relaxed, and she smiled brilliantly. But her smile was directed at the boy next to her. He trembled with anger. That kind of smile used to be directed at him. His tears accumulated in the corners of his eyes, but he couldn't shed them. Only then did he understand that becoming a system meant being stripped of the 5 senses at the beginning, then forgetting the past, and finally becoming a wooden executor. Caleb was in a dilemma. The loneliness here was like ants gnawing at his heart, making him unable to rest day or night. He missed Alara so much that he wanted to bring Alara to his world. He had even summoned lightning, and as long as he gently tapped his fingertip, the girl would instantly appear in front of him. He spied on the girl's smiling face in her sleep. She must have had a good dream. Here, she had parents who loved her, close friends, and even a lover. He greedily placed a kiss on the girl's forehead, and instantly, a tear overflowed from the girl's eyes. He gently caught the tear with his fingertip, put it in his mouth and tasted it. He whose sense of taste had long degenerated, tasted bitterness at this moment. He wanted to cry, but he no longer had tears. His chest heaved violently, his breathing like the sound of bellows. The shadow of Alara appeared before his eyes. The girl smiled softly. She saw the dust and exhaustion on Caleb's face. Caleb almost held his breath, staring fixedly at Alara, afraid that it was just his illusion again. Alara gazed at him for a long time, and finally spoke. Having heard that you have 2 minds, I have come to bid you farewell. This time, she really said goodbye,